Hi everyone, welcome to Kiro's Court. If you're new here, we're going to be sitting down with a female athlete and talking about a prominent topic in today's NCAA landscape. Today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest game changers college sports has ever seen, the House versus NCAA settlement and what that means for revenue sharing in college sports. Starting July 1st, 2025, schools will be allowed to directly share athletic department revenue of up to $20.5 million with their athletes. This is a major win for student athletes, finally being able to earn from the value that they help generate. However, there are a few things good and bad that I want to point out. Football and men's basketball are going to be the ones bringing in the bulk of the money. Therefore, they will be getting the most to distribute amongst their teams. But sports like golf and swimming, not as much. With the nature of the settlement, I really don't see how those rules can change. And I want to hear more about this from someone who it is actually going to affect. Because athletes are getting paid directly by the school, there's also talk of them being considered employees of the university that they attend. This can open up the door to unionization and collective bargaining, something that we've never had to consider before as athletes. Over 190,000 athletes compete at the Division I level. So we're talking tens of thousands of contracts to manage and renew each year, which could potentially lead to heightened rules for coaches or athletic directors, and even open up room for more positions and people who specialize in topics like this. So what does all of this mean for college athletes now and in the future? Let's break it down and get some first-hand thoughts from someone who is actually inside of the system. Today we're joined by another Indiana girl, Hannah Alexander. She's a freshman who has her entire career ahead of her, but let's not discredit what she's done this season. Let me tell you a little bit about her first season here at IU. In her collegiate debut, she won a weight throw with a mark of over 18 meters. She holds the second farthest weight throw in the nation. Literally days ago, she posted a hammer throw of 54.95 meters, which is a PR for her. Originally, her PR was 49.95 meters, which ranked 15th in school history, so clearly she's moved up in the rankings since then. Some more of her personal bests include a discus throw of 170 feet and 9.5 inches, and a weight throw of 64 feet, 5.25 inches. She won a national championship in high school in the girls' weight throw event at the 2024 Adidas Indoor National Championship. These are all amazing accomplishments, and I can't wait to see what Hannah does in her future. Let's sit down with her and hear her thoughts about the revenue sharing settlement and what she's thinking about her freshman season here at IU. No reason to keep you waiting. Let's go. Hi Hannah, welcome to the course.
Hi.
How have you enjoyed your first year at Indiana? What made you decide to actually come here?
Yeah, my first year's been pretty good. Deciding to come here, I was between two schools. I was between here and Cincinnati, and it was really just like both schools had like really good programs, so it really came down to the coaches and the teammates and like how I felt I would feel interacting with the team, and ultimately I just landed on IU for that.
Those of you that are watching, she's from Indiana,
Yes.
and we were just talking about this. You have a little bit of a family history with Purdue.
Yes. Yes.
How did your family feel when you did choose to come to IU?
Yeah, so my parents weren't really like, they didn't really have much of an opinion, but my brother and my aunt, my mom's sister, they were both huge Purdue fans, so they were kind of distraught when I was like, hey, Indiana.
Yeah, I totally get that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm glad you chose to come here. You're having a great season. I
Yeah.
want to congratulate you on that. And you just got back from Oregon. Can you talk a little bit about how it's the postseason currently. So how does that work? I remember in high school we did like regionals and stuff. I'm pretty unfamiliar with just the way it's set up. Can you just talk me through that?
So postseason, there's the conference meet, which you don't really have to do anything to qualify for. Most teams will have like a set number. So for us, the top, we tried to take the top 25 in each event. So if you were the top 25 in the Big Ten, you got to go. They don't have really like a set number of people, but then you have regionals. So there's East and West regions, and the top 48 from each region will go to regionals. Then from there, the top 12 from each region will go to nationals. So there's 24 people at nationals, 48 people at each region.
Wow.
So,
That's honestly a lot of people, but I guess when you put it into perspective of like individual people competing, then how does the point system work in college? Is it the same way? Like you get points for your team and then your team can win a national championship?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it works the same. Yep.
Yeah. Why was it hosted in Oregon? Is that because it just gets decided each year where it's going to be, or?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. Oregon's new to the Big Ten, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Oregon, Hayward Field is the best track complex in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that definitely had some influence with them coming into the Big Ten, because that's also where Nationals is going to be too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, cool. So you'll probably have to go back out there.
Yeah.
Were you jet lagged at all when you went over there?
Going there, not really. We got in pretty late, like 10:30. So
Mhm.
like basically once we got to the hotel, we all went to bed. So it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Coming back was pretty bad though.
So like right
Yeah.
now, you're probably still
Yeah,
sorry for having you up so
I
late.
was feeling it yesterday.
I bet. I remember that was kind of the same case. I was like, I think we started at Oregon and then we went to Washington, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling great. And we
Yeah.
came back and played like, I don't remember who we played, but I know I was tired.
Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was looking back at your high school career a little bit. Did you specialize in track, or did you play other sports as well?
In high school, I specialized in track. I played volleyball for maybe like 6 years or so, up
Oh.
until high school. So I quit volleyball right as I was starting high school.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool. What position did you play in volleyball?
outside hitter.
Nice. I bet you're really good outside.
Yeah.
What made you ultimately decide to pick track, and talk a little bit about the events you do as well?
I started getting serious about track in 8th grade. 8th grade for me was COVID.
Okay.
And so I had this coach that was my club coach
Mhm.
for the past 5 years, who was like in contact with my parents, and he was like, hey, we're doing like some Zoom sessions with some of my high school and college kids. Would Hannah want to join? And my parents were like, yes, she would. So like the entire COVID, I would be like, Mom, Dad, you got to move your cars out of the garage. I got to join this Zoom.
Yeah, that's
So I
funny.
was learning to throw completely like remote in my garage
Wow.
on video call with my coach.
Uh-huh.
So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what was your training setup? So you were able to do it on the concrete?
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we throw off of like concrete slabs. So really, I
Yeah.
would just have to like throw my shoes on.
Uh-huh.
I would set my iPad up against like our trash cans so that he could see what I was doing.
Yeah, that's
And,
so funny.
yeah.
This is a little bit off topic, but you're really aging me here. That 2020 was your 8th grade year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, wow, that was my junior year. I guess it's
Yeah.
not really that far removed. Well, I'm glad I know a little bit more about your background. Glad your first year at Indiana has been good. I kind of want to talk about the revenue sharing a little bit. I don't know if you're familiar with any of the revenue sharing laws that have just been put into place.
Vaguely.
Okay. So basically, with the new revenue sharing laws, it's going to affect all of the teams at Indiana and across the NCAA. The teams are able to pay their players based on how much money the school is bringing in. Obviously, the football team is bringing in a lot of money on ticket sales, concessions, and now that money is going to be able to be paid directly to the athletes. And I thought it would be interesting to talk to you about, just because I feel like the disparity might be pretty big between football and
Yeah.
track and field. So I kind of want to just ask you your thoughts about it. Do you feel like this is going to affect your team at all in a negative way or a positive way?
I'm not sure it will affect us too much. I mean, track doesn't really bring in like a ton of money. Like we don't sell tickets for like meets and things. So it's not, we're not bringing in enough money that I think it would really change much
Yeah.
for the track team.
Indiana actually laid off 25 employees because of the revenue sharing. Did anyone from your team, like in the athletic department, get let go that you know of?
Not that I can think of. I think for the most part our team was pretty safe in that regard.
Another thing is there's going to be, for some sports, roster caps and certain limits to resources, since they're going to have to ration out more money for the players and not as much for extra things like that. So I didn't know if it affected you anyway. I want to talk a little bit about NIL. Have you been able to capitalize on any?
Not like a ton. I have gotten some NIL money. I've gotten a couple like deals and stuff, but for the most part, like it's been pretty chill. Not too much going on.
I've talked to two other girls, a volleyball player and a water polo player, and they both just talked about how much fun they have creating content and stuff like that. Is that your vibe too? Like, do you like to use social media a lot and stuff like that?
I'm not super big on like creating like social media posts and stuff like that, but my roommate this last year got like she was really into it, so I would help her make a bunch of videos and stuff.
Cool.
She thought that was really fun. I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah. with the revenue sharing, I feel like in basketball and football, it might turn into like a professional sports situation. With you being an Olympic athlete, do you foresee that even affecting the way that your players are viewed?
I would not say so. So track athletes don't get paid by like the USA Track and Field Organization.
Okay.
They get paid directly by sponsors.
Okay.
So I feel like, yeah, there's not like a ton, unless you're really good, there's not a ton of money coming in from track.
Yeah.
Unless you have like a really good sponsor and you're like one of the top people in the world. So I feel like it won't really affect track as much as people would think.
Who are a couple of your favorite Olympians?
Big Ryan Krauser fan.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Ooh.
Who is it? I need to.
He's the last 3 Olympics, the gold medalist for the men's shot.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a big fan of him.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna look up Ryan after this. Did you get into the past Olympics? I was actually I didn't compete. I just went to Paris back in August to see some of the events. Obviously, a lot of the events cost a lot of money, so I kind of just tried to get tickets to a couple of them. I think I went to a women's soccer game, which was actually pretty cool. Were you able to watch a lot of the events on your TV?
Yes, we watched most of track on the TV. My dad has I don't remember what channel it's on, but whatever it's on, he has it.
It's
and
like
so
Peacock, I think, or ABC.
I think it was Peacock. Yeah. And so we were able to like watch like specific events too, instead of like the whole thing. So we watched a lot of that.
Yeah, I got really into it was the men's gymnastics. Do you remember when they
were
on? That was hilarious. Do you have aspirations of participating in an Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a long-term goal to reach. Yeah.
I talked to Skylar Kidd, she plays water polo, and she talked about Olympic years and like taking off years to prepare for the Olympics. Is that a thing in track too, where you can take a year off of college and like if you're going to compete in the Olympics? Yes,
I believe if it is like an Olympic year and like you're about to compete, I don't think that there's like any like gear up time for that. So like the year before, like 2 years before, I don't think you're able to do that. But if it's the year of, I do believe that that's something you can do.
You can't just like tell your coach,
be like, hey, I'm going to the Olympics in 3 years.
Yeah. Can I please have this year off? Okay. Because I was talking to her, I was like, well, I wonder if I could do that. Just ask my coach for a year off and then have another year on the back end.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is my favorite part of each episode. I don't know if you've seen this crown here. I'm calling it the Royal Decree. Basically, you have to wear this crown to answer this question. Now that you've got 1 year under your belt while things, I feel, are semi-normal, what's one thing you hope stays true about the student-athlete experience?
I would say really just like my teammates this year have just been like amazing. And so we're graduating a lot of them. We're not bringing in too many people this year. So just hoping that like the dynamic between me and my teammates and even my coaches for that just stays roughly the same.
Yeah, that's a really good answer.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I would say too if I had any more years of eligibility. Okay, cool. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, of course.
If you want to keep the crown on, you can. If you don't. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much, Hannah, for joining me. And you can follow Hannah on Instagram at... It was really nice talking with you. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Caro's Court. I had a great time talking to Hannah today, and she gave me some really valuable insights on how revenue sharing is affecting her and how she enjoyed her first season at IU. I will link all the resources I used to conduct this interview in the description, and I'll provide you guys with some more resources for anyone that wants to check out more about the revenue sharing settlement. That's all I have for you today, and as always, court adjourned.